They tried to slap that look right off my face, but I'm still grinning. And the money ain't run out yet, so I do believe I'm winning. For all the mess I was them and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Saturday night, but tonight is a different night or a different situation. It's a Saturday night, but we're recapping Survivor Series. My name's John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Our very first premium live event that we recapped live on Don't Bury the Lead was 2 years ago, Survivor Series. So this event always has a special place for me in Don't Bury the Lead lore. Without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from WWE Survivor Series for November 30th, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is Bloodline, the original OG Bloodline, knockoff Bloodline 2.0, in what I would call a pretty good War Games match. We have CM Punk filling in, and there was a lot to do with CM Punk and the Roman Reigns thing. So pretty good stuff from them. And, you know, a lot of other stuff highlighted, specifically Jacob Fatu was great. But it ends up being that the OG Bloodline win it. And we said before in our predictions that they felt like they were the favorites as far as like the better superstars on their team. So that victory came to fruition. Dom, what'd you think of this matchup?
I think I got swerved because there were no swerves.
Right.
And the baby faces won. They took out everybody, helped each other up, and it was just Solo Sikoa surrounded by the 5 members, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. And they just took their turns. I mean, first, Roman took a step towards Solo with his arms out and gave him a chance to come back into the fold and run back the original Bloodline. And Solo Sikoa refused and just went after him 1-on-5. And, you know, of course, he's not going to win 1-on-5, especially as a heel. The Usos both super kick their younger brother. Sammy gives him a haluva kick as he's laid up in the corner. CM Punk hits a go to sleep on him, and his Solo still won't go down. He's still staggering. Roman spears him, and then Roman Reigns pins Solo Sikoa. Match went about 42 minutes from what I had here, bell to bell. So pretty good chunk of time for the men's War Game match here. Like I said, we were not swerved. Nobody turned on anybody. There was nobody else who showed up at the very end. I mean, Paul Heyman came down to the ring at one point to plead with Roman and CM Punk to just work it out and be on the same page together just for this one match. But at the end, this thing ends with everybody, you know, the 4 OG Bloodline members with the one finger up in the air, Punk doing his go-to-sleep gesture. Even after Punk walks up the ramp before them, they all catch up to him, tell him to wait. Heyman brings him back, and then at the top of the entrance ramp, all 6 of them now, including Heyman, standing together. So we got no sort. The baby faces acted like a well-oiled machine. I don't know whether to be disappointed or whether to go like, oh, okay, finally, one time it made sense. The baby faces got along. But fun match. What do you want to unpack from it first?
Yeah, I think you kind of already mentioned it. No swerves. So there's been so much animosity and back and forth within the OG Bloodline that none of it boiled up. And you could say, you know, the brothers had a rivalry and fought each other in WrestleMania. They wrestled each other at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn had his incidents with the Bloodline and wrestling Roman Reigns. And all this was just, well, it was like we deleted everything out and we're bringing the band back together. And Nothing. They gave like no. They were working in perfect harmony. There wasn't even one little bloodline like, you know, like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? And then like there's that little animosity, and that's what makes the bloodline great, is because there's always like who's going to turn on who and what's going to happen.
Right.
But that was mostly done by CM Punk tonight with
Yes.
Roman Reigns. He kind of took that role of will he turn or not kind of thing.
What was your favorite little CM Punk thing that he did to Roman?
Oh,
It started in the cage, in the entrance cages.
I liked how Roman little brothered him the whole time. He you know, big brother little brothered him, and was like, "No, you can't go." And then he's like, "Then he's gonna go," and then CM Punk storms off, and I thought,
third man in was supposed to be Punk. Punk was itching to go. Roman put his arm out and held him back and looked at Sammy to go. And Sammy initially was confused. But
yeah,
he went. And then the next time, fourth man in, Roman looked like he was all ready, but of course he was doing the slow Roman thing. And CM Punk just pushed past him and got out the cage first. So now technically CM Punk's the guy in. They have to close the cage on Roman. Now in the match, what were your favorite CM Punk Roman Reigns little tiffs that were going on? I had a few. Did you have any that stood out to you that it could have been a breakdown of the team if it just boiled over just a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, when Roman Reigns speared him accidentally,
accidentally speared CM Punk. Yep.
That was the one that was like, uh-oh, here it is. It's all falling apart. But they get on the right page when Roman pulls him off the table. Roman Reigns or CM Punk pulls Roman Reigns off the table as Bronson Reed comes from the top of the cage, which was crazy because Bronson Reed is so huge, and I was like, wow, he even got up there. Even to get up there at that size is impressive.
Yes.
How about you? What were your favorite little Roman CM Punk things?
As soon as they all got in the ring together, and Roman had to do this, by the way, by scaling the cage because Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu locked the cage door behind them with a chain and a padlock as soon as Solo got in, trying to preserve a 5-on-4 advantage. So Roman scales the cage, gets up. There's no ref, so technically the War Games match hasn't begun. But Roman is there. All the heels are taken out. Roman goes one by one, helps up every member of his team except CM Punk. He helps up both of the Uso brothers, walks past CM Punk, helps up Sammy, and then CM Punk gets up on his own, and they kind of do the stare down. So there was that tension there that had boiled over from being in the entrance cage. Now it's going on in the ring. You mentioned it later. CM Punk had one of the guys, I think it was Jacob Fatu, up on his shoulders, fireman's carry, like he was going to do a go to sleep. Roman bounced off the ropes to hit a spear on Solo. Solo sidestepped him. Roman just clobbered Punk with it. And so that looked like, oh no, this is really breaking down. But then, like you said, CM Punk saved Roman Reigns from the tsunami. And when Roman realized what had happened, helped perhaps by the CM Punk chants that rang out from the crowd there in Vancouver, Canada, Roman realized what happened, extended his hand to CM Punk and helped him up. CM Punk accepted him. And then, but then I wrote down Jacob Fatu breaks up the tender moment. Just to make us realize that, hey, it's still War Games pro wrestling match. And they're still trying to beat each other up.
And did you notice at the end there when, they're leaving the ring and CM Punk and Paul Heyman embrace and what they said to each other? Did you hear?
Yeah, one of the Usos went out first, then CM Punk went out and went right to Paul Heyman, and they got a big hug. And CM Punk mentioned something that had been on the recorded vignette the night before on SmackDown, that you owe me a favor. I'm doing this as a favor to you, Paul Heyman. When I need it, I'm going to call in my favor. And he said it last night on the video, and he said it again tonight after the match, and great hard camera was right up on him, not just getting the visual, but they got enough of the microphone so you could hear CM Punk saying it. So the story continues. CM Punk now has, like the get out of jail free card. He's got the Paul Heyman favor card that he can play at any time he needs it.
And, this isn't I thought it might be a continuation like that. We'll have CM Punk now be a part of the bloodline, but it feels like this was just a one-off because he's not even putting the finger up. He's got the
Nope.
go to sleep thing,
He's
and
doing the sleep gesture.
and
yeah.
he was genuinely hard to work with. Like you could tell, like he was like not super following along and just listening to what Roman would
Nope.
say, and yeah, so he's just like, yeah, you can go on without me if you want, like
Yep.
he's just he's a mercenary. He's a hired gun for this match.
Absolutely. He was brought in just for whenever these War Games matches happen, there's always somebody like that who's just brought in as a hired gun.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk acted like it. CM Punk was not pretending. They're like, oh, yeah, we're all friends. We've been friends for years. We got each other's back. He's like, no. Paul Heyman contacted me, asked me for a favor. I agreed to do it because now whenever I need it, I get a favor from him. He was totally a hired gun. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the War Games match. Anything else you want to talk about here with the War Games match? I mean, it went 41 minutes, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great looking match. Guys bumped for each other, sold for each other. Everybody got their stuff in. Everybody got to do their high spots at one time or another. Jimmy Uso eventually did hit an Uso splash off the top of the cage. Which was fun, but nobody was able to get a pinfall there. Jay speared Tonga Loa, Sammy Blue Thunder Bomb Tama Tonga, and then Jimmy hit the big splash onto Jacob Fatu through the table. Nobody was able to cover because everyone was down, and then that led to the faces eventually helping each other up and surrounding Solo Sikoa. So everybody got their stuff in. Bronson Reed did the tsunami. Then he did the tsunami off the top of the cage, through the table. Although
I have that in my notes.
Table.
One of my favorite spots was not off of the cage, but the tsunami to Sami Zayn. I was like, this move is awesome.
Yes.
I don't know. There's something about that. It's like the height he gets and the size. Bronson Reed gets around really well for his size. Like he scurried right up that cage, like no problem. And I was like, if you looked at him, you're like, is he going to be able to get up? Because he's so big.
He does something on the top turnbuckle that makes the move look better. A lot of the other guys, they stand up there, both feet, and they perch and they pose. Bronson Reed does not. Bronson Reed gets 1 foot on the top turnbuckle, and then that's when he does his pose. So as he gets his second foot onto the top turnbuckle, he's already into the move coming off.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's getting more height than he is because you see him ascend right before he goes off the turnbuckle. But he's not posing there and leaping. He's just getting himself up and going in one motion. It's not the pose.
Interesting.
So it's really good, but he's very agile to even do it. I mean, at 300 and whatever pounds, I don't know that he could actually balance up there for very long. The Fixer! Good morning, Fixer! How are things in the UK? Did you see Survivor Series? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in, Fixer. Long time no chat. It's only been a couple of weeks, I think, but we were talking about you.
We were thinking about you, talking about you. Great to have you back, Fixer. Anybody else who's live with us, jump in the chat. Look, the Fixer broke the ice for you. He showed you how it's done. Jump in the chat. Have something constructive to say, something to add, and John will put you on screen. He's controlling the board there, and we'll give you a shout out. And if you say something that we can respond to, we'll go for it. Wonderful. Thank you, Fixer. That's the lead. We've done everything. We've talked about the match, and we got the Fixer back. I think that's a perfect lead.
That's the lead, and we can move into the follow. And I was thinking, because we're talking War Games here, how about we go to the other War Games? And quite frankly, the better War Games, the women's War Games that opened up the night, in my opinion, was better.
Okay.
And we have less of a storyline, but more action. And I feel that, we have Rhea Ripley's team go over. So Rhea Ripley pins Liv Morgan, who's currently a champion. And she ends up doing her finishing maneuver. Is it the pump handle slam?
The pump handle riptide, the pump handle slam. You got it.
Yeah, the pump handle slam off of the top rope. Looked really good. and it looked like it killed Liv Morgan, and she was down for the 3.
Through a table. Shades
Yep.
of the WrestleMania match where Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte Flair with the pump handle slam, that riptide off the ropes, but not through a table.
Well, we'll clue you in, the Fixer. You missed the show. You've come to the
You
right place.
came to the right place. Don't Bury the Lead has all the action recap for you.
And there's a lot that happened, so you might want to hang in there.
This match goes 38 minutes, so 4 minutes less than the men's, but like you were saying, quicker paced match.
Yeah.
Lots of action in this, lots of smaller angles and relationships between the people here, not just a big gang versus gang thing, but there were lots of the Roman Reigns CM Punk angles going on in this match.
Yeah, it was more than Roman Reigns and CM Punk. It was like little things that they were building for things that will happen down the road.
Like Liv and Nia still having some animosity. They just wrestled in Crown Jewel. Tiffany Stratton bringing her Money in the Bank briefcase, hiding it in a trash can that she brought into the ring, and at one point taking out the case as both Nia and Liv Morgan were down flat on their backs, and you were wondering if we were going to get a cash in. Bayley and Io, could they coexist? Things like that. Bayley and Bianca, Io and Bianca, could they coexist? Would anybody like Candice LeRae?
Right.
So plenty who's just been trying to weasel her way into everything.
Mhm.
So lots of little storylines going on here, but like you said, tons of action. What's your favorite spots, favorite sequences from this match, since you've already called out that it was action-packed?
Yeah. My favorite thing was come on now. Io Sky, who is my official MVP of the War Games in modern day WWE history. She always does the craziest, wildest thing off the top rope, or off the top of the cage. So she goes to the top of the cage. She's fumbling around with the trash can because she has to put it on her. There's a chain just in one of the trash cans that she grabbed. So she throws the chain to the ground, plops on the trash can, and does a moonsault with the trash can, hopefully hoping that they catch her, and they do. I noticed she went all the way around too.
Yes,
not like
total moonsault.
Yeah, like almost like she went, like she would have landed on her feet if they weren't there.
Still would have hurt.
Would have hurt a lot. And it's so scary because you're just like, it's really dependent on, because I'm always thinking like she can't hear or see anything. I hope she knows what's going on when she does it.
And in tandem, Tiffany Stratton had climbed the cage on an adjacent long side of the whole structure. And when she saw Io go into the backflip, she went for her own flipping senton onto the wrestlers who were in her adjacent ring. So we got simultaneous flipping off the top of the cage, cross-body moves onto piles of wrestlers on the floor.
Yeah.
Great work by everybody, not only Tiffany and Io going off the top of the cage, but everybody underneath having to catch just this missile of a human being. And it's not even like, you're catching an exercise ball or something. You're catching a flailing human with knees and elbows and feet and skulls and shoulder blades. That can't be fun for anybody involved, but it was a highlight spot involving all 10 wrestlers. Beautiful. And you called it. Io upped her game every year. The first year we saw her, she moonsaulted off the top of the cage. The next year we saw her, she puts the trash can on herself and kind of cross bodies everybody. This year, she gets the trash can and does the full moonsault off the corner.
Nuts. Completely nuts.
I don't know what she's going to do next year. Does she wear 2 trash cans so she's just this metal log hurtling through the air? I mean, what happens?
And it's so crazy because she's been a champion, and I think she's a pretty good champ.
Yeah.
So it's not like she has to be this gimmick, but she just does it. She's like, no, War Games match. I'm going to do the crazy thing. I can't wait.
Yes.
What's the craziest thing I could do? And then I also wrote up this about Tiffany Stratton. I just said she's fantastic. She was fantastic.
She did look good in this match.
She is unbelievably good and is slowly like if we're gonna talk about like at the end of this year MVPs, like she's in the MVP race for me.
Yep.
So men or women, that's just
Yeah,
like
or at least most improved because she came out of nowhere.
out of nowhere, unbelievable. I had heard nothing about her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she comes up from NXT, and there's a lot of people that get brought up from NXT that don't make it, or
They
they're just
don't make it. Yeah, she did her Alabama slams on a couple of people. Did that handspring back elbow in the corner, the Great Muta move. She and Io Sky had a little face off early
Mhm.
where they each did the acrobatics and were avoiding each other, and it was one-upmanship, and it really shows you because like Tiffany Stratton's a world-class trained gymnast. She's competed in world-class competitions. And Io Sky, for what they were doing, looked like sort of her equal with the acrobatics and the timing and the speed of everything. It was neat to watch. I usually don't like acrobatics, but if you have two people in there who look like there could be professional gymnasts, then I don't mind if they take 15 seconds and just, fast paced, try to hit each other with all these acrobatic spots and keep ducking each other. Like,
And
I
it
don't mind that.
and it built to it, right? It wasn't
Yep.
like they went in and climbed the cage and then did it. It's like
Yep.
this is the match where you want a high spot like that. We saw Bronson Reed, he was not acrobatic at all. He did the high spot too. But
Bronson Reed off the top of the cage weighs far more than Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky put together.
yes,
Like,
it's
not even close. Io plus Tiffany Stratton is not the 300 and whatever pounds of Bronson Reed hurtling off that top of that cage.
yeah, the momentum's crazy. But I was gonna say, as far as Tiffany Stratton's concerned, she's just a total package.
Yep.
She's great on the mic as a character. She was great as having the Money in the Bank in there today to add a little more interesting intrigue of like, oh wow, can you cash that in? And the ref looked confused. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, I don't know if you can cash that in." It was like one of those things. But then,
she'd be pinning her own team members. It's like, what would that do to the War Games match?
yeah, but she's just thinking of herself. And then, she does the high spot off with Io Sky, showing like she can do everything at this point in WWE, and only a matter of time before she cashes in the Money in the Bank, has the title, and she'd be well deserved in such a young career.
Yeah, I mean, think of Io Sky's acrobatics, but a bigger, stronger person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think she's going to be fantastic. I liked some other spots in this match. Rhea, at one point, Liv Morgan's the last person to enter the cage, and at that point, everybody's down except Rhea Ripley, and Rhea's just staring at Liv with this protective mask she's got on that has horns growing out of it and other horns in the back of it. I don't know what she was supposed to look like, but as Liv gets into the ring at one point, Rhea takes off the mask and tosses it aside like, I don't need this, I'm healed. And she's got like the black mask painted on her. Really good stuff. So Rhea's back. That was a neat little visual. Liv looked good, even though she took the pinfall. She hit the Oblivion on Bianca Belair with a chair. The pinfall was broken up by Rhea. Let's see. Eventually, Liv tosses a chair to Rhea and hits a code breaker on Rhea with the chair. She had done that earlier to Bayley as well. So the person who took the pinfall in this match wound up looking pretty good. So nobody got squashed here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about from this match?
Neat spot where Io Sky came up with the fire extinguisher.
Oh, that
blind
was cool.
people at one point.
And that is the thumbnail, too.
That's the thumbnail. Okay, very good. Io Sky grabs the fire extinguisher that I think Bianca Belair had brought into the ring. And she sprayed the fire extinguisher everywhere. People staggered over to the corner. At one point, Raquel Rodriguez staggered into the corner where earlier somebody had put handcuffs. Rhea handcuffed Raquel to the corner. So Raquel wasn't able to participate much the rest of the match. It became like a 5-on-4.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a neat little wrinkle. Now, Raquel was still able to contribute because at one point, Rhea got Liv up for the riptide a little too close to that corner, and Raquel was able to reach out with her free hand and pull Liv down out of the riptide, so that worked. That was very good. Also wanted to manage that wanted to mention the reason why that purple trash can was up there for Io Sky to use is because when she entered the War Games match, she did it by getting the trash can, hitching it over her shoulder and neck, and scaling the cage to enter the cage. So she left the trash can up there for herself. And it was really cool. Like she got into the match by scaling the cage, which in one sense ruined it when Roman Reigns had to do that later.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we already saw somebody scale the cage, and she was dragging a trash can behind her.
Right. She had the
We
trash
already
can.
saw someone less than half your size do this, carrying a trash can. You know,
Yeah. Oh man. It's so tough.
anything you can do, Io Sky can do better.
It's crazy because you know, at the end of the day, to follow the women's War Games was brutal for anyone. I was
And
like,
what followed women's War Games? You want to go right into it now?
yeah. So we have what I would call shocking matchup
Okay.
with Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight, and Shinsuke Nakamura wins the U.S. title. And what I would say is a shocking performance here by Shinsuke. Clean as a whistle, too, mind you. Shinsuke wins clean as a whistle over LA Knight. Dom, what you think of this matchup?
This match only goes 10 minutes. I like that it was a different style. And you've brought this up before, that when people wrestle Shinsuke Nakamura, they're going to wrestle a different style than they're used to. And it depends on how much you fight that chemistry as to how the match turns out. Seth Rollins has done it before and done it pretty well. And I thought LA Knight did a good job tonight as well, wrestling in a way that allowed Shinsuke to look good doing his Japanese strong style. So I did enjoy that. Like you said, LA Knight sidestepped the Kinshasa, side slammed Nakamura, then hit his top turn elbow. He waited for the blunt force trauma, but Nakamura rolled under the ropes to the other ring. Now, eventually, Nakamura got the advantage when LA Knight tried to follow him through the partition there in the ring. Tried to do a suplex. Nakamura fought out of it and then inverted DDT LA Knight on the steel connecting the rings. And that set up the Kinshasa for the pinfall. About 10 minutes in, Nakamura is face paint. He looks like a bloody and bruised mess.
Yeah.
Like there's really no colorful pattern to it. It looks like he's just been beat. It looks like he's been in a fight before he started the fight. You know, so I don't know what they're going for with this new character. You've called him Zombie Nakamura. It may be that. Like, he looks like he's dead almost. He looks like he's been beaten to a pulp, and then he goes in there and fights. I do like how quickly Nakamura moves with his sequences. Like this one time where he double axe handled LA Knight's arm to break a hold and then immediately spun into an elbow up near the face.
Yeah.
Like that just good moves by Nakamura. LA Knight did the stuff that we're used to seeing him do. Each guy had an opportunity to fight from underneath and to make their comebacks. And in the end, like you said, surprising, I think, that Shinsuke Nakamura knocks off LA Knight. And really his first match back. I mean, he had a match last night against Andrade, which he got the win over Andrade. But like this is, like where's he been? And here he shows up again. He's in a pay-per-view and he wins it.
Zombie Nakamura had the cool new entrance coming out.
Yep.
Any
spots you really liked from this?
LA
match?
Knight might have tipped his hand a little bit. So I went up to rock my baby to sleep, and then I came down. My wife was watching the match, and I was like, I'll rewind and watch it. There's no need for me to watch it. LA Knight's going to win, considering the position of the card.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, LA Knight's going to win this one. I come down. She's like, oh, Shinsuke Nakamura won. I was like, are you serious? What happened? So I rewound it and watched it from the beginning.
There you
go. LA Knight came out and he had kind of a stink face on when he's coming out. You know, He looked like it looked like he knew I'm losing. I'm gonna go do this thing, but I'm not happy.
Okay. Now
Uh,
the announcers played that up as, Shinsuke got in LA Knight's head.
Yeah.
Like he really got to him. He called him out for like, this title is the only thing that matters to you. Without it, you're nothing. He'd been sneak attacking him. Last night got him with the mist. LA Knight came running down to the ring after the match, and Shinsuke misted him.
Yeah.
And just blinded him with it and then walked away. So they were playing up that Shinsuke's been getting into his head the last few weeks. Almost cost him a match against Santos Escobar on SmackDown. So I did not catch that from the entrance. I had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the pay-per-view and was playing catch up. So I was jumping through the long entrances and just watching matches.
Yeah, I liked LA Knight doing he from the torture rack. He did a slam that was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the match didn't have a whole ton, but that was okay too. Just really shocking to see LA Knight lose it. The crowd was dead as disco because they had just watched that awesome women's War Games match. So this was literally like a bathroom break match, and the bathroom break match was massive title.
It was rock your baby to sleep break match.
Yeah, right.
Now, on the other hand, after that awesome women's War Games match, you throw LA Knight in there because people are least interested in LA Knight.
Yeah.
And he did get his LA Knight cheers when he did the top turn elbow, where he's on the second turnbuckle. He does LA Knight. The whole crowd was into it. He leaps up to the top turnbuckle, drops the elbow. It looks great. So the crowd was into things like that. So maybe this was a good palate cleanser because like LA Knight's not going to have people fall asleep.
What do you think's going on here? Why did he drop the title?
He's had it since WrestleMania, right?
SummerSlam.
It was only SummerSlam that he won it from Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So it's not like he's had it for that long.
I thought he had it longer than that. Okay, maybe it just seems like he's had it forever since it looks so good on him and he carries himself like a champ.
Yeah, the SummerSlam in Cleveland where Logan Paul wore all the Browns gear and still got booed.
Yes, that's right. You got it. Early August, that's right. Okay, so it's only been a few months. August, September, October, November, almost 4 months.
Yeah.
I think this is good. It's a little bit of adversity. He needs a bump in the road.
Mm-hmm.
So now what does he do? This guy got in his head, sprayed mist in his face, took his title from him in a weird match because he DDT'd him on metal grates that normally wouldn't be there in the ring, except this was War Games.
Yeah.
So I think this will be good.
Or
I don't know. Go ahead.
Or is this a bit of a, if you will, promotion? He's had the U.S. title. Maybe it's time for him to be in the main event at the top of the card and let the U.S. title be for, U.S. title guys.
Okay. I think it's crowded for the SmackDown World Heavyweight Undisputed Universal title chase at the moment. He did have his shot against Roman Reigns and looked great in it a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's been lacking a push. I think there's more to him to do in the Shinsuke Nakamura feud where maybe he gets back at Nakamura somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as quick as, say, Braun Breaker taking the belt back from Jey Uso, the Intercontinental belt, which was right after this match here. But I don't think he has to get into that crowded Cody Rhodes picture just yet, especially since they haven't.
Fixer. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I.
Oh, okay. There we go. We love it. If he's wrestling injured, that may explain some of the facial expressions and that maybe he needs some time off. Okay, perfect then. Yeah. Explains it perfectly. And in that case, Shinsuke Nakamura is the perfect weird guy, mysterious guy to come back and take it.
And maybe
if that's true, Fixer, I love it. Thank you for the contribution. It makes more sense that way. But I will say it makes sense even if he's not hurt. It makes sense that the guy just doesn't have, this smooth climb to the top. It makes sense that there's a bump in the road somewhere that he's got to pick himself up and start climbing again.
Yeah, I know that I had heard, or I should say Liz threw out that is he hurt and that's why he's dropping it? I said maybe, and then Fixer just mentioned that rumor.
Okay.
If he and here's the thing too, like he can continue to have the feud with Shinsuke, but if he's hurt, maybe he takes some time off. Another thing, really weird idea here from me. Shinsuke Nakamura is Japanese,
Mhm.
and they're about to go to Netflix, so maybe there's a big number of people on Netflix that are going to be watching in Japan, right? So
Oh,
they're like,
okay.
"Oh yeah, we need to put up Nakamura and have a big Japanese champ that they can follow."
That works for me as well. If LA Knight's hurt and maybe can't come back until the Royal Rumble,
By the way, complete speculation, complete guess.
of course,
We're
that's what we do.
we're not
we
Dave
recap
Meltzer.
and then we speculate.
We're not Dave Meltzer saying I heard a rumor and then like say it factually, and then the
Mhm.
internet gets mad at him. I'm like, yeah, he just makes stuff up. Dude, let him make up stuff.
None of the things we're reporting tonight are, from sources. It's just what would be plausible and what would make sense if they followed through with it.
Mhm.
So there are plausible ways they can go with the Shinsuke Nakamura title reign. There's ways that it makes sense if LA Knight's hurt, if he's not hurt. There's ways it makes sense if Shinsuke Nakamura is hurt, if he's not hurt, if he's Japanese, if he's not Japanese, if they're going to Netflix, if they're not going to Netflix. There are ways that it's plausible. Nothing here tonight was left you scratching your head going, why would they do that? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, so we got Zombie Nakamura winning the U.S. title. Where do you want to go to next, Dom?
We've mentioned Braun Breaker already, or at least I did, about how he came to hold that Intercontinental Championship. We got a triple threat match that went 14 to 15 minutes here between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. And Ludwig Kaiser's really getting elevated into this title match here. Braun Breaker, of course, has the belt. Sheamus has had every belt except the Intercontinental Championship, and multiple times as well in his career in the WWE. So he obviously belongs and is a main eventer for a pay-per-view. Ludwig Kaiser, though, did Ludwig Kaiser hold his own in this match?
Yes, absolutely.
I say yes as well. This was a good ascension for Ludwig Kaiser to get out of the bottom card lackey position and put himself as to where he's solidly a mid-card talent at this point.
I thought he was going to win the title.
There were a couple of moments, right?
Yeah. I was like, he might steal this.
Yes. Yeah, what did you like from him? Right at the end, he hit a spinning DDT on Sheamus, but Braun Breaker speared him out of the ring and then covered Sheamus for the pinfall.
Maybe
that kind of twisting, spinning DDT he does. It almost looks like Cody Rhodes' move, the Crossroads.
Dom, can you take over for a sec here? I have some technical difficulties.
Sure, I will do. So this match goes about 14 and a half minutes. Triple threats. WWE has found a sweet spot. They seem to know what to do with triple threats. They got enough action here where each guy gets to show off their stuff. This match did not have as much moves with all three guys. Like, the standard thing that you're getting every match with a triple threat is that two people are fighting on the top turnbuckle. One of them's going for a superplex. The other one comes over and turns it into a powerbomb superplex. Da-da-da-da-da. You see it every match. I didn't get that tonight. This was new stuff. Things like Braun Breaker starts his charging run that he does on the floor where he just shoulder blocks guys, except Ludwig Kaiser intercepted him. And then Ludwig ran around and drop kicked into Sheamus into the ring steps. Braun recovered, though, and hit a huge leaping shoulder block onto Ludwig Kaiser. And then Braun Breaker's pounding both guys on the floor. Sheamus power slams Braun Breaker at one point. The pinfall's broken up by Ludwig Kaiser. Just fantastic. There would be another breakup later in the match that was even better than that. Braun Breaker hit a Frankensteiner off the second turnbuckle, went for the spear but missed and crashed into a chair that had been wedged into one of the corners by Ludwig Kaiser earlier, but he never got a chance to use it because the two baby faces beat the crap out of him. Sheamus then hit a brogue kick on a staggered and dizzy Braun Breaker. 1, 2, Braun Breaker lifeless, not moving, not rolling a shoulder, not kicking out. Ludwig Kaiser, who had been thrown to the floor, pulls the referee out at 2.5. And Sheamus just stares at him like, this was my chance. Braun Breaker is not moving. I've pinned him. And you little weasel, you cost me the match again. Pulling the ref out of the ring. And there's no disqualification, so he can do that without getting thrown out. Just a wonderful spot, and Ludwig Kaiser just soaking it in. The boos from the crowd, just egging them on, glaring back at Sheamus. Ludwig Kaiser's a guy, he was a quick developer on the mic and a quick developer with the facial expressions. I wondered with his body type if he was going to be a believable pro wrestler in the ring. I think he's there now. I think especially with guys like Shinsuke Nakamura back who have that similar build, if Shinsuke Nakamura can hold the U.S. title, then Ludwig Kaiser, who's kind of built the same way and has the same quick striking sequences, I think, yeah, Ludwig Kaiser could be a title holder. Not world title, but he could have the B+ level belt.
He is a little bit smaller, but he has shown that he can really go in the ring every time he gets his small opportunities.
Yep.
And tonight he looked good, especially because he was a little guy against two giants in Sheamus and
two big horses, thick guys. They're not fat, but they're thick. Tree trunk legs, huge barrel chests, the shoulders. I mean, these are wide frame guys. What did you think of Braun Breaker, who they build early on as a guy who was squashing all his opponents?
Mm-hmm.
They did not make him this unbeatable guy in this match. He looked very vulnerable at many times during this match. What do you think of booking Braun Breaker like that? And is it more plausible considering what we remember him as months and months ago?
The invisible guy thing is a terrible, terrible booking character. It can't work. It just doesn't work. You can't just run around squashing people and wanting to build them up. They have to have some form of adversity. For Braun Breaker, maybe it kind of, I don't even know. It never made sense for him to be squashing people. He did a good job in there to kind of like hitting his big power moves. And him and Sheamus were fantastic, and just two big guys beating the hell out of each other. Sheamus is the man. Sheamus doing the punches. I love
the
those.
10 beats of the Baron.
Yeah, 10 beats of the Baron. The crowd loves him. He's out there high-fiving the crowd.
Yes.
And the other thing is he was doing the 10 punches, and then I think Braun Breaker either broke up the 10 punches or he did the 10 punches to Sheamus, and the crowd was just all over Braun for that. So it was a good move by Braun.
It was at one point, yes, Sheamus was going for the 10 beats on the ring apron, and Braun Breaker broke it up. Like, no, you don't turn your back on me in a triple threat. I'm the champ. Now, later on in the match, Braun sent Sheamus over the barricade and then tried to press slam Ludwig, but Kaiser escaped it and sent Braun over the steps. And then as Ludwig Kaiser is celebrating, mocking everybody up against the barricade, who slowly stands up behind him? But Sheamus, who'd been tossed into the crowd. And Sheamus grabs him, and 10 beats of the Baron, him there on the barricade. So the crowd got it. Braun broke it up initially in the ring, but they got it on the barricade. After he does 11 beats of the Baron on Ludwig Kaiser, Braun recovers, swings, and misses Sheamus, who then hits 10 beats on Braun. So Sheamus got his signature thing with the counting. You have said it before. People love counting.
They love it, Dom. They love it.
As long as it's not too high. They can count to 3. They can count to 4. They'll do 10. After that, it gets a little weird. Some people are stumbling around. They don't know what comes next. But if you can count to 10, yeah, they'll do it. The crowd is with you.
Yes. One more match here. You want to head that way?
Sure. It's Gunther and Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Another thing they did by having LA Knight lose the belt to Shinsuke Nakamura in the second match of the night, it sort of got it out of your mind. Okay, they've done a title change. Because if LA Knight had won, and if Braun Breaker had retained, you'd be scratching your head going, Damian Priest has to win. There's no way they're going to have all three guys retain.
Yeah.
It's just things that like mess with you. So by having Nakamura win early, it freed everybody up to go, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in the Intercontinental Triple Threat or in the World Heavyweight Championship match. And Gunther and Damian Priest go 19 minutes, longest singles match of the night. Gunther winds up winning it with a sleeper. He powerbombed Damian Priest and then put him into the sleeper for a submission. Damian Priest passes out, will not submit. He's the babyface, does not submit. Ref calls him out when he's unresponsive. About 19 minutes here. What did you think of Gunther and Damian Priest? Got some shenanigans here, some interference too. What did you think of the whole package they presented to us here?
Another Gunther match, another banger.
Right.
Yeah, he just hits every time. Every time. When he slapped Damian Priest up on the corner, I always forget that how hard he can just slap someone.
Yeah.
Damian Priest is up in the corner and he just hauls off and slaps him in the chest, and the crowd goes, "Ooh!" He just hits him so damn hard. It's unbelievable. I love the finish with Gunther working the injury, and
Yes.
Damian Priest is hurt. Damian Priest is hurt. That's the storyline from the beginning to the end. So what's Gunther do? How's he beat him? He went, when he's been weakened here, due to his Judgment Day former partner here, Finn Balor. When Finn Balor weakens him, he takes advantage of the shoulder injury and puts him in a hold using the shoulder, and then chokes him out, basically. It's either he's choked out from pain or he passes out from pain. I'm not sure what direction they were kind of heading, but he uses the shoulder and then to squeeze off the neck that he's hurt with. So it's like the double whammy of like he's not breathing and he's in a ton of pain.
Yep. He had early tried a sleeper. He'd early tried a Kimura lock as well on that left arm. No, I'm sorry. Was it the right arm and shoulder? Both of them at some point looked like they were hurting him.
Oftentimes you see they do the injury spot in pro wrestling, and they'll go after it once and then they'll just leave it go. And then sometimes even the wrestler forgets about it and he's suddenly healed like 20 minutes later.
No, these guys are pros. Damian Priest sells a left shoulder injury early. Gunther sees it and goes after it early and keeps doing it, like you were saying.
Right.
Now, at one point, it almost costs him because Damian Priest escapes a powerbomb. Gunther escapes what would have been a razor's edge. And then Gunther goes to drive him down to the mat by his left shoulder. But Damian rolls through it, and while Gunther is trying to hold on to that left arm, Damian Priest says, okay, and applies a triangle choke, reminiscent of The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Doing kind of that guillotine move there. Gunther rolls it into a pinning attempt to get Damian Priest to break the hold. But, that was a good wrinkle in. Like, Gunther's so focused on going after Damian Priest's left arm that Damian Priest now uses it against Gunther. Okay, you're going to hold on to my left arm. Now I've got you. My legs are healthy and longer than my arm.
Yeah.
So good countering wrestling by both guys there. I liked it. Damian Priest played up that he couldn't get Gunther up in the razor's edge because his left shoulder kept going out.
Right.
Good stuff. So these are two pros. Good ring psychology. Eventually, like you mentioned, Finn Balor runs down to ringside. Gunther and Damian Priest are fighting each other on the top turnbuckle there. If it were Kevin Owens, we know who would win that one. They each wind up dropping off of the turnbuckle. Gunther drops into the ring. Damian Priest drops onto the apron and then all the way to the floor. The ref goes out to check on Damian Priest first. And Damian's saying to him, like, give me a minute, like his shoulders are bothering him. Just saying, give me a minute. Don't count me out here. Give me a minute. And then the ref says, okay, gives him a minute, goes back into the ring to check on Gunther, who also just hit hard into the mat there. And while the ref is checking on Gunther, here comes Finn Balor off the ring steps, a stomp onto Damian Priest. The ref turns around now, sees Finn Balor. He sees the aftermath of it. Doesn't actually see Finn Balor interfere, but sees Finn Balor at ringside. Starts calling Finn Balor out. While Finn Balor's distracted with the ref, Gunther sneaks out of the ring, and I love that Gunther does this. He clobbers Finn Balor on the floor. Just clobbers, like, I don't need your help. Clobbers Finn Balor on the floor. Then goes to Damian Priest, rolls him into the ring for the finishing sequence there. And then Finn Balor's just glaring at the end. You don't know if he's happy because he cost Damian Priest the match, or if he's ticked off at Gunther for not being appreciative and then cheap shotting him.
Right.
The Fixer, what do you say? Gunther and Priest are two of the best in WWE and now two future Hall of Famers. The career trajectory is going in that direction. Both of these guys are stars. Gunther looked it earlier, at least in the ring, and they put the Intercontinental belt on him earlier, and he looked the part. He had to work on his mic skills. Damian Priest has had a tougher go of it because unlike Gunther, who was the leader of Imperium, Damian Priest was just kind of an also-ran in Judgment Day. Like, they were all also-rans. It was Edge's group, and then Edge passed it to Finn Balor. So Damian Priest has had, I think, more of a climb this past year, but ever since winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in at WrestleMania, I mean, really since the Bad Bunny match at Backlash 2023 in Puerto Rico, Damian Priest has looked like there's been a rocket on his back, and it was just a matter of time. And Fixer, I agree with you. They both look like main eventers, and that's what made this a great main event match. You weren't scratching your head going, one of these guys doesn't belong here. They both belong here. John, did you think this match was set up well enough where if Damian Priest won, you wouldn't have been shocked?
Yeah, totally. I didn't know who was going to win. I was thinking the whole time, I was like, I wonder if they'll get it off Gunther so Gunther can start to make his way toward the big belt, or if, and it would be obviously totally fine for Priest to be in that picture where he wins that belt. So, yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. And these two have had some battles, haven't they? Gunther and
yes. Gunther had to take the belt off of Damian Priest.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pay-per-view. I can't remember where. May have been in Europe, where CM Punk came out and screwed over Drew McIntyre again.
Yeah.
Who had cashed in his Money in the Bank in order to get himself into the match. So Gunther has beaten, and again, they did an injury angle then as well and an interference angle. So Damian Priest still has not lost clean.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making him look strong. They're doing a great job in WWE right now of having guys look strong even if they don't win the match, because not everybody can win every match. But they're doing a good job of nobody looks weak.
Priest going from heel to babyface shows his versatility.
Absolutely. He's getting cheers, right? He and Rhea Ripley both getting cheers.
Yeah, and I think with Rhea, she had to turn face because it was like she's just so over,
The crowd was all behind her, yeah.
Yeah, she's no longer a heel at all, and she doesn't wrestle like a heel. She's a big, huge, powerful, beautiful woman. It's like, yeah, she is a face.
Yeah, great performance by the former Judgment Day members tonight. One of them getting the win in War Games, the other one losing in a wonderful, very good, action-packed World Heavyweight Championship match. Anything else you want to say about any of these 5 matches?
No. One thing I did want to point out that I was thinking about during the match. This is almost Italian goodbye stuff, but
go for it.
It's funny that the men's War Games were like more like a soap opera, and like the women's War Game was like more violent.
Yes.
And like less storyline, like let's just wrestle and let's just do this. Whereas the men's War Game is like CM Punk and Roman Reigns, like, ooh, is he gonna turn on him? Is he not going to show up, or is he not going to? Are they going to start fighting each other? Like, that's the whole bloodline thing, and really, that's like an effeminate, like it's soap opera-y.
It was like, you can't sit with us. You can't sit at our table. And then like Paul Heyman was like, well, just let him sit at your table one time. And I was like, okay, he can sit at our table with us one time. Always there with us.
That's
Yes,
exactly it.
The men were mean girls, and the women were hitting each other with chairs and kendo sticks and trash cans and fire extinguishers. And one of them wore a trash can to jump off the top of the cage.
The women were acting totally way more like men, and the men act like women. So I just
the women were ECW, like in the middle of the 90s.
Right. Yeah. So I totally just wanted to point that out and talk about that. But that's all I had for the show. How about you? Anything you wanted to add?
If there's only going to be one women's match on the card and it's War Games, they went all out. Totally. Excellent work by all of those pro wrestlers.
Totally. Well done.
I think that drives home the point, doesn't it?
I think you are. Yes, that drives home the point.
So and it's time for the thumb drive, right? This is where you and I distill this entire premium live event Survivor Series into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties. Except for the one I'm wearing because it's a premium live event here. Ooh. There are also no star ratings, no number grades, no letter grades. You're taking this course. Pass, fail.
Dom, listen, we don't do star ratings. No. We're not Dave Meltzer. It's not 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. It's not 2 stars in the Core State Center. It's not 1 star on Sunday Night Heat. It's not 4 stars in anywhere in Japan. No. No. We give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We are not Dave Meltzer.
No.
All right, ready?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. Oh, pretty easy, right? Thumbs up.
Both War Games matches came through. I mean, the only match that looked to me like it was a TV match was LA Knight Shinsuke Nakamura. It only went 10 minutes. But it wasn't a bad match. And if it's true that LA Knight's valiantly battling an injury, then you understand, in which case LA Knight went out there. And if it's true, he went out there, he did the job. He made Shinsuke look real good in the match. Everything else was premium live event quality. War Games, since they've brought it back for the main roster in 2022, it's really worked for them. Like I look forward to the War Games matches. They're a lot of fun. This night was no exception, and I think you're right. The women's War Game match maybe stole the show.
Yeah, and it was right in the beginning, and LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura had to follow that, and you could just tell the crowd was flat, which always hurts when the crowd's flat. LA Knight did a good job getting them back into it, but at the end of the day, whole show was good, beginning to end. 2 War Games matches that are just a ton of fun, right? The matches are, and then the 2 matches or 3 matches in between were all good workers, and always unique to have that second ring they can play around with, right?
Yes, and it played into some of the matches, right?
Yeah, it's just enough of a gimmick that it's not ridiculous. Yep. But yeah, there is a second ring there. So you could stay there in the one ring the whole time, or you start going back and forth.
Yep. It cost LA Knight the title. Mm-hmm. He got inverted DDT'd on the steel connector between the 2 rings.
Yeah.
So they used it.
They actually used it, right?
They used it for something good. I like it. Well, great point. Great call out there.
And that's the thumb drive. And let's mosey on down to the Italian goodbye here, Dom, because we are going to do Cheap Heat at a later date. But we can hang in here for a second. This might be more of a Irish goodbye, but
sure. I'll throw one out that wouldn't be part of Cheap Heat, but Paul Heyman was giving an interview, I think a week ago or so, about some of the people he's been really impressed with lately. And he mentioned he loves the Liv Morgan storyline and what she's doing with the character. And it got people thinking, has there been a female Paul Heyman guy, quote unquote? And if there were to be a female wrestler who becomes a Paul Heyman gal, who would it be? And would Liv Morgan be a perfect Paul Heyman gal?
Yes.
I think it'd be fun.
Yes. If Paul Heyman had a woman, Liv would fit like a glove. They're both from she's from New Jersey, he's from New York, so they have that connection going for them. There's Liv is not Liv's a great personality, but she's not like a big promo mic person, so she could rely on Paul Heyman there. Anyone that gets involved with Paul Heyman, it's going to be like such a benefit to your career, though. And then she's so technically sound that she puts on good matches. It's almost like the Brock Lesnar thing. He was just beating the hell out of everyone and couldn't talk, so they just gave him Heyman. It was like, well, he's the top guy now. Here's from the fixture. The War Game matches are a big thing. You're getting a match with 10 superstars in it. It's a winning ticket.
Yeah, you brought that up as well, John, when we did our little preview about all the star power in especially the men's War Games match on the OG Bloodline side. You know, yeah, you get to see the stars. So you're looking at a premium live event with only 5 matches, but there's way more stars in it that would normally be in a 5-match premium live event. You know, there's 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 matches worth of superstars in it, like real A-listers. And it also gives you a way to have stars in matches where belts are not on the line. Like Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and CM Punk were in a match and there were no belts on the line. It was just War Games. And Liv Morgan and Nia Jax are title holders. They were in a match, but the belts weren't on the line. You know, and there were other wrestlers in that match who are vying for the U.S. title tournament for the new women's U.S. title and the new women's Intercontinental title that just announced on Raw. So there were people who are going to be in those tournaments, like Bayley, who are in these matches now. Io Sky, who's going to be in the Intercontinental one as well. Fun stuff. Lots of stars, lots of action. Kudos to WWE for bringing this back. They gave it a test run in NXT. They used to do War Games in NXT. And as it worked, and as some of those NXT wrestlers made it to the main roster, they decided to give it a shot on the main roster. One of the things they keep bringing up as a point of trivia is that Io Sky has wrestled in more War Games matches than any woman on the WWE roster. It's because she was one of those that wrestled in it when it was an NXT gimmick. And then when Io went to the main roster, War Games followed her and they put her in it again. So she's been doing War Games for a lot longer than the main roster's been doing War Games.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's why she's so good.
She's old hand at the cage.
This is probably
it's her 6th or 7th one.
Yeah, that's got to be her bread and butter at this point.
Yeah. If there's War Games, Io Sky's in it.
Okay, Dom. Well, thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for seeing you again. Great to see you again, the Fixer. Really appreciate it, man. We are only doing the recap tonight, so we can get out the summer or Survivor Series recap to upload it as an individual video. It should do pretty well for us. So we're going to skip Cheap Heat tonight, but Cheap Heat will be coming one day this week. So look for that. You'll see it scheduled and you'll know, okay, that's when Cheap Heat is. So just pay attention to that. If you're new to the channel, I know we have a couple other people on. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Really helpful for us. We are at 920 subscribers. We're 80 subscribers away from 1,000. And that's get monetized. I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah, right.
Here. I'm trying to get paid.
Hey, it costs us a little change. Costs you a little change to do this. You know, you're the producer there with all the high tech equipment and the streaming service. So it'd be nice to recoup some of it and not be in the red.
Yeah. No, it's not much. It's like $100 a year, something like that.
Well, I mean, the monetization we're going to get, it's going to be baby steps.
It'll be baby steps.
But yes, wherever you're watching, if you're watching us on X, the former Twitter, if you're watching us on Twitch, or if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you wherever you're finding us. know that our best stuff is on YouTube. That's where not only the live streams are, but the archive of past live streams, the edited video clips, John, that you make, and even the hashtag shorts, the sub 60-second clips that you put out. All of that stuff is at the YouTube channel. Search for us on YouTube. Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel. Subscribe. There are free and new premium join options as well if you want some extra perks. Comment on our videos. If you join us live, get into the chat like the Fixer was. We like hearing from you, even if you don't always agree with our takes on everything. We're a couple of wrestling fans, but we know we're not the only ones out there. And we know not everybody watches wrestling the way we do. Tell us what you think of the things you're watching and seeing there. Tell us what you think of our analysis and our takes on everything. And hey, maybe we'll get a community going. We'll get the conversation going on somewhere in the comments there. It's a lot of fun. Let's take advantage of it. Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel on YouTube.
Dom, couldn't have put it better myself. What a great outro. Well, listen, Dom, that's a great point. Thanks everyone who signed in today and watched. Hope y'all enjoyed Survivor Series. My name's Jonathan Dell. This is Dom Scarcella. Dom, thanks so much for joining. And everyone, have a great rest of your evening.